My name's Jennifer Kilmer. I'm the director of the Washington State Historical Society. And as we begin today, I want to acknowledge the indigenous people who have stewarded this land since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today, the Nisqually and Squaxin Island peoples. We pay respect to their elders past and present. I want to thank you all for coming to this celebration of the addition of a new monument on this campus, which you can see here, acknowledging the many contributions of the Bush family to Washington State. In preparation for addressing you today, I reviewed all of the monuments and structures and artwork on this campus. I believe that this is the first structure specifically focused on the legacy of a Black man on our campus, but I invite correction if I've overlooked something. I would love to share with you the full history of the Bush family's accomplishments, but we would be here all day. And believe me on that, because you should have seen version 1 of the speech. So I will just share a few highlights. George Bush and his family, by virtue of their settlement north of the Columbia River and the thriving community they helped create there, helped solidify the American claim on this territory. George Bush and his wife, Isabella, were known for their generosity to their neighbors, and they helped save other immigrants from starvation during the famine of 1852 and provided assistance to new settlers as they got their start in the area. George's oldest son, William Owen Bush, served in the first Washington State Legislature. During his tenure, he introduced and passed Washington's first piece of civil rights legislation. In addition, he introduced and passed legislation that led to the creation of an agricultural college in Eastern Washington that later became known as Washington State University. It has taken too long to get to this moment where we celebrate the accomplishments of George Bush and his descendants, but it is right that we are here to do so. I'm also pleased to announce that a companion monument, pretty much just like this, will soon be placed on the campus of Washington State University Tri-Cities as well. I'd like to extend thanks to the Black Members Caucus, with special thanks to Representatives Entenman and former Representative Pettigrew, who you'll hear from shortly, for their work to place funding in the budget that made this monument and other Black history projects possible. Yes. I'd also like to thank members of our Black History Advisory Committee for the State Historical Society who have helped to steward this project and others over the past year and a half. Yes, thank you. When the Society first embarked on our Black History Project, significant work was already taking place toward making this monument a reality. And that work was led by John Saunders, Courtney Nevitt, Bruce Silverman, Reverend Wayne Perriman, Representative Entenman, Kara McClarty with the Department of Enterprise Services, and others. I know that John and Courtney are here, and I want to extend special thanks to you for getting this started. Additional support for history research was provided by Karen Johnson with the Olympia Tumwater Foundation and Dr. Jewel Dunn with the Office of the Secretary of State. Dr. Dunn in particular has done extensive research on the George Bush family. Our agency got to do the fun work like getting the proposal approved by DES and through 2 state committees and paying the bills. And getting to work with all these great folks who made this project a reality. Speaking of great folks, one of the approving committees was the State Capitol Committee, which happens to be chaired by my friend and your Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck, who's here to say a few words. Denny.
Thank you, Jennifer, very much. This is a happy day. This is a feel-good day. We don't have enough happy days and feel-good days these months, and this is absolutely toward the top of the list. Thank you, Jennifer. She is doing such a spectacular job at the Washington State Historical Society. Actually, an institution I care a lot about, as I served on its board for 9 years. I know of what I speak. She's doing a great job. I also know of what I speak. That's deserved. I also know of what I speak when I characterize her in the traditional term, the better half. Because I was her other half's roommate for 8 years, I'm here to tell you she's the better half. Not even close. I want to thank the Historical Society. I want to especially thank former Representative Pettigrew and Entenman. Spectacular work. Now, Eric, could we just maybe adjust the win-loss record at the Kraken, where you're now gainfully employed? We'd all have an even better day if we could do that. And acknowledge John and Courtney, who came to me with this idea, I don't know, a couple of years ago now. I've lost track of time. And adopted it as their COVID project. That plus John grew a beard, but they've just done a great job. This is so deserved for all the reasons that Jennifer alluded to and others will talk about. But let me tell you how deeply deserved I think this is. As somebody who has the privilege to chair the State Capitol Committee, we have responsibility for this campus. And quite literally, I look upon this ground as a part of a sacred altar to our democratic values. And every square inch has to be regarded as such, and anything that goes on any square inch has to meet the standard of eternal good decision. And this is not only an eternally good decision, it is a long overdue decision, and much, much deserved. Others are going to talk about the trailblazing nature of George Bush and his family's contribution to this area. The aspect of George Bush I want to conclude upon, however, and you can read it there in those wonderful words, was his generosity, his caring for this entire community and anybody who came through, irrespective of their station in life, for whom he would provide literally free hotel lodging and food. Literally. His generosity, his decency does meet the test of time. And frankly, we could use a whole lot more of it today. We could use a whole lot more George Bush. Thank you.
Thank you, Denny. Next, I'd like to invite Representative Entenman up to speak.
See if I can make it up here. Good morning. It is afternoon, excuse me, Ms. Thelma. Good afternoon. It is an amazing time. We are living in interesting times, whether that be a blessing or a curse. Today, I'd like to think of it as a blessing as we honor George Bush and the Bush family, founders of our state, African American people who have given us this opportunity to stand together and acknowledge that the beginning of Washington State included indigenous people, white people, and African American people. George Bush was a good Samaritan. If you come from the faith tradition that I do, you learn that the Samaritan welcomes you, helps you, and makes sure that you are healthy and ready to move along to the next step in your journey. When I think about my journey to the state legislature, being here, I represent the 47th Legislative District, which is an area of the East Hill of Kent, Covington, and Auburn. It is a very diverse community. When I first got to the legislature, Everybody thought because I was African American, I represented Seattle. Seattle is a wonderful place, but I don't live there. I live in a place where there are many different people. I serve in a legislature that is here to respect and represent all people. When I think about the Bush family and this monument and the other work that we would like to do here on campus to acknowledge the contributions of those who we don't know their names yet, but we will learn their names, it is important for us to understand that this work is good for all of us. This information is good for all of us. I will tell you a story. When I was on campus here with Representative Morgan, Representative Pettigrew, Representative Lovick, and Representative Reeves, we were 5 African American legislators, and we decided to create a Black member caucus. Many people said, well, there's already a member of color caucus, why do you need a Black caucus? We needed a Black caucus to acknowledge that we, too, are a part of Washington State history. We need a monument for George Bush and his family to acknowledge that they also are a part of Washington State history. I'd like to thank Lanisha from the Northwest African American History Museum, who I called and said, I need your help. We want to do this thing. I am not a historical society member. I'm simply a legislator. And she said, don't worry, Deborah. I will work with anyone who asks so that we can make sure that the history of African Americans in Washington State are well known. I would like to say that I am full of joy today. I feel like I am breathless in the fact that we are celebrating today George Bush, and we are standing on the shoulders of many who came after George Bush but came before me to be here today. We have students from the Bush, I believe it is middle school. Please correct me if I have that incorrect. That is an amazing thing that we have a middle school named after an African American person in Washington State. I hope that we can continue to work together to acknowledge each and every person who contributed to Washington State on this campus. I think it is very important for us to walk through those halls and know the names of all who have made sure that Washington became a state. I think it enriches us. I think it makes us stronger. And I think that we know that in our diversity is strength. We should acknowledge our diversity. And I want to say congratulations to you all. And thank you for being here today to acknowledge this important event.
Next, I'd like to invite former Representative Eric Pettigrew, my favorite Kraken, up, who is the Vice President of Government and External Relations for NHL Seattle, right?
Good afternoon. I have to say I'm I'm taller than most people here, so I'll just do it this way. I am just indescribably emotional and excited about this afternoon. You know, when I first got elected to the legislature back in 2002, and I walked on this campus and I looked at all the buildings and the statues, and at first my first reaction was like, this seems like overkill. Like, why are we doing all this stuff? Why are all these buildings here, all these statues and all that stuff are here? It seems to be, you know, just overkill. And after walking through the halls and walking on the campus, it dawned on me that it really wasn't about me being here in the legislature. It was really a statement and an honor to the people of the state of Washington. This is yours. This is in honor of you. Over time, I realized that the work that we do here and the buildings here and the campus here is all part of a big tapestry that holds us together and defines us as not only a state, but as a country of who we are. And one of the things I did not see in that tapestry a lot of was me. So when I see this monument today, I'm very emotional about it. Because in this monument, not only do I see George Bush, I see Representative Entenman, I see every person that has come through here that's African American or any other contributor that makes that tapestry that strong and that much better. So with that, I am so honored, and I was so honored to be a part of this. I did the easy part. I just nagged and nagged and nagged as an outgoing legislator, which is an easy thing to do, to complain and say, hey, you know, this is my last term, my last session, please give me this. And to be able to help and contribute to it is beyond words. I'm just so happy that from now on, forever and ever, and in honor of George Bush and his son, who I know would be honored and wanted to do this for his father, to be able to say that we have definitely put a thread in the tapestry of this state that will live forever. Thank you so very much.
Pardon me. It's starting to get wonky. The title on the plaque on the monument says "Putting Down Roots," and I just want to share one final story, and it's alluded to on the monument. And that is that when the Bush family left Missouri, they brought along rootstock from a tree on their farm in Missouri, and they brought it all the way across the Oregon Trail, and they planted it at Bush Prairie in Tumwater. And from that rootstock grew a magnificent tree that lasted for generations. In 2010, a nut from that tree, it's a butternut tree, was planted on the Capitol campus. That's the tree that you see back here that the monument is in view of. I heard from, I think Courtney told me, that in May of this year, that tree in Bush Prairie fell over and died. And so it seems only fitting that we now have a permanent record of the contributions of the Bush family on this campus in view of this tree, which will last for generations to come. Thank you all for coming today. We appreciate it.